Awesome. So, hi, everybody. My name is Inez Ortiz, and I am a program coordinator for Sustainable CT. And I'm really excited to be here today to tell you a little bit more about Sustainable CT and how Glastonbury specifically has participated in Sustainable CT. So I first would just like to start with a brief overview of what Sustainable CT and really what we seek to achieve. So Sustainable CT is a voluntary municipal certification program for Connecticut towns. So Connecticut towns voluntarily choose to participate in Sustainable CT and they register with our program. And by registering with our program, they have access to all of the resources and supports that we have to offer. So at Sustainable CT, we are really here trying to help inspire, support, and celebrate all of the great things that Connecticut towns are doing in their journey of creating more sustainable communities. So through our roadmap of actions or sustainability best practices is how we really help to inspire towns, we like to say, by offering all of these different best practices with resources, information, and partners. So towns are able to see what the best practices are of sustainability at this current moment in time and how they can apply these different actions to their communities to help connect with more residents and just to create a better place for everybody to live, work, and play. We support our communities that are registered through the many resources that we offer. As I had mentioned earlier, we have many resources that towns can take advantage of and also resources that residents can take advantage of. We have lots of no-cost technical assistance for towns for helping them to complete our actions. And then we also offer different types of resources for residents, such as webinars, our community match fund, which I'll go into a little bit later. And this support is really just meeting towns where they're at to help them define what a successful, sustainable community is for them. So we hope that towns take advantage of the resources that we have to offer in any capacity that they can. And then our certification program is how we celebrate all the great things that towns across Connecticut are doing. So we have 2 certification deadlines a year where towns can apply for 3 different tiers of certification. And when they achieve certification, they receive a plaque and a nice certification report that really outlines all of the great things that they're doing and everything that they submitted in their certification. And these are all stored on our website on their town profiles. So residents, stakeholders, town staff, anybody can access these certification reports and really see just a high level overview of all the great things that towns are doing and how they're really trying to make their communities more sustainable. So our impact so far, we have been around since 2018, and since then, 138 towns in Connecticut have registered to participate with Sustainable CT, so a little over 81% of the state. Of that, we have 63 towns that are currently certified, and we have our big certification deadline at the end of August. So this number will go up, which will be really exciting to see. Certification lasts 3 years for a town. So right now, this is the current number of towns that we have certified, and we're hoping to add on more. And of all the towns that have ever certified since 2018, we have had almost 4,000 sustainability actions implemented from our roadmap of actions, which is really just a great indicator of how towns are taking advantage of the program and how they're implementing these different actions to help create a more sustainable community and to reach the residents and all of the other good stuff that they're doing. We've had over $4 million invested into community-led projects through our community match fund, which as residents of Glastonbury, everybody has access to, and I'm excited to talk about that a little bit later in my slide deck. But overall, Sustainable CTR impact is really trying to meet towns where they're at to help them create more connected, inclusive, and resilient communities. We like to say we're a program that was created by the towns for the towns because in the formation of Sustainable CT, we brought in as many town stakeholders and town people that we could to try to help influence the program and the actions and such. So we're really a program here for the towns and just trying to support them in their journey to becoming more sustainable communities and how they define that. And to talk a little bit about how Glastonbury has participated in Sustainable CT, I have a link here that will take you to the Glastonbury town profile, and I'm happy to share these slides afterwards so you can look at all these resources. But there's also a little screen grab over on the screen that you can see that Glastonbury registered to participate in the first year of Sustainable CT being around in May of 2018. And then later in that year, Glastonbury achieved our second tier of certification, which is a silver level, and they recertified that silver level certification in 2021. And then in October of 2022, Glastonbury achieved our climate leader designation, which is an add-on to certification. And these are actions that we have defined that are really tailored to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and mitigating the impacts of climate change. So currently Glastonbury is still silver certified, and they have their climate leader designation, which is really great to see Glastonbury taking the initiative to try to mitigate the impacts of climate change and reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. So if you go to the Glastonbury Town profile, you'll be able to access all of their certification reports, the 2018 one, the 2021 one, and you can see their climate leader designation report as well. And I really do encourage you to go look at this because a lot of the things that towns do sometimes, it's hard to communicate this to residents and to reach the resident in a way that everybody can see what's going on. So these certification reports are a really great way to see the with things that your town is doing that maybe you'd like to be involved with, or you could even take advantage of. So Glastonbury has been a really great town to work with, and we're excited to continue to work with them moving forward. And for our roadmap of actions, I just want to go over this briefly since this is the bulk of our certification program. So on this screen, you can see that there are 13 different categories, we like to call them. And within all of these categories, there is an array of actions that towns can complete to put towards their certification program. So based on the requirements that we have, towns are able to go in and choose actions that they want to implement in their community and best fit their community to earn points for certification. And as you can see, we look at sustainability really broadly. So we're looking at the things that you would commonly think of when you think of sustainability, such as well-stewarded land and natural resources, renewable energy, clean transportation, materials management. But we're also looking at the other things that really make a community a great place to live in and make a sustainable community. So we're also looking at how the local economies are being supported by the town, and if there's opportunity for local businesses to grow and thrive. We're looking at the arts and culture scene in the town, and if there's an area for artists and youth to be able to get involved with the support of the town and bring just that arts and culture aspect to the town that's so valuable to so many towns that we have in Connecticut. So we're really looking at a very wide array of actions. We have over 100 actions that towns can choose from, which we've really tried to keep a very diverse range of actions because, as most of you probably know, Connecticut has 169 towns, and none of those two towns are the same or even super similar in that regard. Every town is extremely unique in how it's set up, its population, the dynamic of the town. So we really strive to make sure that there's an action for all towns that they could take advantage of, from ranging from the big cities that we have to the small rural farming towns. We really want to make sure that towns are able to access the program and pick an action that works best for them. And along with this, our actions are, excuse me, our actions are very broad. So you can have sometimes an action to where you could only be doing a training, or maybe you could be passing a resolution or a call to action. So just going off, we try to keep it a very broad range of actions so everybody can help take advantage of the resources, or towns that don't want to pursue certification often use our roadmap of actions as just a guiding practice of the best practices in sustainability right now for towns. So I would encourage you to also just take a look at the actions. You may find some information that's interesting, or see what other towns are doing across the state to try to be more sustainable. It really is a wealth of knowledge and resources. So if you're ever looking for anything, any type of information that may relate here, I would really encourage you to check out our actions webpage. And I included a few examples of some actions just so you can see how they look and what they require. And I specifically chose actions that Glastonbury earned credit for in their 2021 certification application. So you might recognize some of these things. So for this action, this is our action 3.12, which is focused on enhancing pollinator pathways and education to residents in towns. And Glastonbury earned credit under this action for having more than 10 pollinator gardens in the town. And I included a little picture over here where you can see one of the gardens that they earned credit for at the welcome sign at exit 8. And on the map below, you can see this is from the Pollinator Pathway website. This is a map of all of the Pollinator Pathway gardens in Glastonbury. So it's really great to see Glastonbury taking the initiative to prioritize pollinator pathways in town and to have this great asset to the community. Another action that is a little bit more in like the town management sustainability realm would be our 9.3, which is to create infrastructure to recycle additional materials that are not mandated by Connecticut law. Glastonbury earned 30 points for this action for providing infrastructure to recycle textiles, aggregated materials, and food scraps. Food scraps. So this action is really great to be able to highlight to towns and residents maybe that didn't know that their town accepts other things that they could recycle. Just creating the infrastructure to help mitigate the big waste crisis that we're in. So this is a great thing to see that Glastonbury is doing. And the last action I included here was a really cool one, and it is to promote growing spaces and giving residents the opportunity to engage in local farming and gardening in their communities. So Glastonbury earned credit here for their community garden that is behind the police station. And I've included some pictures that they included in their submission. This is really just a great action to show how residents can also be engaged in sustainable CT actions. So we require that these are open to residents and they're able to have a plot of land and be able to take advantage of the resources. So this is a great asset to have in Glastonbury, and you could check out this action too to see what other towns are doing with their community gardens and maybe give you an idea of what you'd like to see in your town. So now I'm going to go a little bit into the resources that we offer. We do have some resources that I did not list in this PowerPoint. So some that I would just like to mention is we host monthly webinars on virtually that you can access through our Sustainable CT webpage and sign up for. These webinars they change every month. Sometimes they're tailored to town staff and certification specifically, but a lot of the times we're bringing in external partners and stakeholders to help talk about different things in the sustainability realm in Connecticut of what's going on right now, such as waste management, or sometimes we're highlighting community-led projects that have occurred across the state that we've helped support. So I would encourage you to check out our webinars and sign up for them. They're open to the public and anybody can attend them. And now I'll go into our community match fund, which is where really the funding arm of Sustainable CT that anybody in a registered community can access. So the community match fund was really brought to life in the goal of helping towns implement the actions from our action roadmap, but by providing funding. So the community match fund is open to anybody in a registered community. It could be a resident, a student, a town staff, a library, a not-for-profit organization who just has a great idea of a community project that would be publicly accessible and benefiting, and they'd love to see move forward in their community, but maybe they just don't have the funds to do it. So the Community Match Fund is a matching granting program, and it's unique in which it does not match existing grants that have already been granted to somebody, but instead we match funds that are raised within a 60-day crowdfunding campaign. So during this 60 days, you would have a campaign page, which there's a few examples over on the side here that if you click on them, they have a whole campaign page, and you would basically be raising funds during the 60-day campaign. And at the end of the campaign, we would match what you raised. So we match up to $7,500 or $15,000, depending on the project. So if you had an idea to put in a pollinator pathway, or you wanted to revamp your community garden and you needed $6,000 to do it. That would be a great project for the community match fund. You would just come to us, talk to us about your project. We try to keep it extremely low barrier and reporting as minimal reporting as possible because grant funding across the state can be very burdensome and not accessible to residents a lot of the time. So the community match fund is really trying to break down those barriers. So the application process is really just meeting with me to talk to me about your project idea and see if it would be a good fit for the community match fund. And once projects are approved to move forward, they're matched with a crowdfunding coach and they get to work one-on-one with this crowdfunding coach to help you build out your page, help give you sustainability, crowdfunding best practice tips of how to reach people in your community. And then you get to decide when you want your page to go live and when you want to fundraise. So if you want to wait a few months in anticipation of an event you're having, or maybe another fundraising event, it's completely up to you. We've helped support over 300 projects so far, and we've invested $4 million into the community match fund. So it's a really great resource, and I'd be happy to talk with anybody that has any project ideas or would just like to learn more about the community match fund because it's open for residents and we love to see residents taking advantage of it. And an example of a community match fund project that actually just finished up in Glastonbury was for the Glastonbury MLK mural project that was really aiming to honor local history and promote diversity and inclusion by putting up a mural on Town Hall that will feature people with from that are significant to Glastonbury's history and also just a big focus on civil rights. So we had a group come to us and talk to us about the project, and we thought it was a really great idea and something that would really help the community, and it was a community vision, so we thought it was great. So you can see a screenshot here of their campaign page. They exceeded their goal by almost $2,000. So they had a goal of $7,500, and upon the completion of their campaign, we matched that $7,500 for a total of $15,000 to go towards the mural. And the mural, I think, is supposed to be completed by sometime in September, which is really exciting. They're planning to have an unveiling event that I will be attending to see how the mural came out. So this is just one example of how people in Glastonbury have taken advantage of the community match fund. And this is the only project we've had in Glastonbury so far. So we would love to see some more projects in Glastonbury. So I really encourage you to reach out or spread the word on the community match fund if you know anybody that has a really great idea that would be a community-led small scale project. So to run your own community match fund project, this is just a little how-to. So just have a great idea that would be publicly accessible and benefit your community. You would email myself just with a brief project idea, or you could just say you want to learn more about the community match fund, and then we would set up a time to talk about your project or just give general information over a 30-minute Zoom call. And as I had mentioned earlier, once the project is approved, you're connected to a crowdfunding coach who will help you build your campaign page and really just act as a resource to you throughout the process. And then you would run your 30 to 60-day campaign where you raise half of your budget. And then upon completion, we would send you a check in the mail or electronic payment if that's easier. And you receive the money and you're able to put your project forward. And then I also included just some other ways to get involved as a resident. You could reach out to your town sustainability team. If you access the Glastonbury town profile, you can see the main contact that we have in Glastonbury, and there's contact information. So you could reach out to them and see if they offer opportunities to volunteer. A lot of our most successful sustainability teams across the state are very diverse in where they have town staff, they have volunteers, residents. So I'd really encourage you to get in contact with the town staff and see if there's opportunities or maybe any cool projects that they're working on that they'd love to hear from a resident on. I would also encourage you to check out our action roadmap to learn more about what sustainability actions are being implemented across the state. These could give you great ideas of things you might want to do in your community or bring up to your town, and you have a great example of that you can refer to when suggesting these ideas and how it's already been successful in another town. We have a fellowship program that runs throughout the summer. We currently have our fellows. They're placed at all different councils of government across the state to provide direct support to towns who are pursuing certification or just any other sustainability projects they may want help with. So I would definitely encourage you to consider applying for our fellowship program if you're in college or graduating soon, or if you know anybody that might be interested. It's a really great program, and the fellows get really valuable experience in the professional network world of a council of government office and also the different towns across the state. As I had mentioned earlier, you can participate in our monthly webinars or check out some of the webinars that we've hosted in the past. We have an archive on our website of all of the webinars we've ever hosted, and they're hosted on our YouTube page, so you can go back and see if there's one that interests you, and maybe you'd like to watch it back and reach out to us if you have any questions or if you'd like to be connected with the people that were speaking in the webinar. We also have a monthly podcast, the Impact Podcast, where our communications manager brings in different people to interview that are either connected with sustainable CT or just in the world of the things that we work with towns and sustainability. And they're really great episodes, really informational. This month we had two of our fellows actually run the podcast interviewing somebody from Yukon. So that's a really interesting episode that I would encourage you to check out. You could also just sign up for our monthly Actions and Impact newsletter to stay updated with what's going on across the state. We send out information on community match fund projects, about funding opportunities across the state. You can keep up to date when towns are being certified and when they've just done really cool things. So it's a great way to stay involved with what's going on across the state, and they're full of information. And the last thing is you could support a community match fund project. So you could go to our Patronicity webpage and see all of the projects that are currently crowdfunded and have been funded in the past, and donate to a project if you'd like, or reach out to a project leader and tell them you want to get involved with what they're doing. There's endless ways to really get involved if you check out the Sustainable CT website. We have a lot of information on there that you could look through about Glastonbury, but also about all of the different towns across the state and what they're doing. So I would really encourage you just to look around our website and see if there's anything that grabs at you. And this is just my contact information. So if anybody wants to get in contact after this, feel free to email me. I'm happy to talk about project ideas or anything sustainable CT related. And then just a thank you to the Sustainable CT funders. We are fully grant funded and not a part of the state at all. So we're very appreciative to the funders that help make the work that we do possible. And that was everything. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
You are able to unmute, or you can put questions in the chat. Okay, if there are no questions, you will be getting these slides in a follow-up email. So you can reach out to Inez directly if you'd like. Also, just to let everyone know, sustainability is our current summer reading theme. So we have some programs coming up that you might be interested in. On Monday, we have Intro to Composting at Home, which still has some spots in it. And then the week after that, I believe we have our Sustainable Stitching program, where you learn how to do creative mending on your clothing. So just look at our website for more information on those. And last call for questions. Nope. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you, Inez.
Yeah, thank you for having me.